the records are stored in a definite order. In the sense, either ascending order or descending order with a particular key, that is the key field or the particular column. Direct access file organization allow the immediate direct access to individual records on the file. To access these records, computer must read the file in sequence from the beginning. Dear students, welcome to Computer Science classes. I am Ravi Kumar KR, lecturer in Computer Science, Vidhyaashram PU College, Temple of Excellence, Mysuru. Students, let us start discussion of the concept database concepts with the topics database users and file organization. In this session, we are going to cover the topics database users and file organization. Now let us see the next slide. So here, first one is DBMS users or database management users. So the meaning of this heading is, so overall can involving in database from the development till the users. So how many people or overall can involve in database? That is the heading database users or database management users. So first one is application programmers and system analysts. Now, what is the meaning of application programmers? Now you know what is a programmer or software developers. They are the one, they are going to develop a software according to the user's requirement. So if the software engineers or software developers, they are going to develop a software as per the user requirement. And what about system analyst? So system analyst determine the requirement of end user. So first here, system analyst, first he will decide the what is, or he will find out what are all the requirements of a user of a particular application. So based on that feedback or based on that data, the application developers or application programmer developers, they have developed the software or they have developed database management system for particular application and particular user. That is one user. Next one is end users. So what are end users? The people who access or uses the database for querying, updating and generating report. So here we are using database. One who uses the database for different application are called end users or the users, and he will use the software for different query in the sense for different application, different purpose. For example, he will use the database for updating the data and generating different types of report as per his requirement. So they are referred as, or they are called as end users. Next one is database administrator or DBA. So he is responsible for coordinating and monitoring the users of database. So what is a database administrator? He is the one who is going to maintain or who will be maintaining the database of any particular application or any organization. So what is the responsibility of this database administrator? He is the one who is responsible for coordinating and monitoring the database users. Oh, he is giving, for example, access permission to the different types of users in an organization. So he is playing very important role in maintaining the database with respect to coordinating with the users of different users. And next one is database designers. Database designers. So database designers are responsible to identify data to be stored in a database. So here, once the system analyst has given the, he will take the requirement of users. So accordingly, database designer, he will design the software or in such a way that, so what type of data can be stored in particular database, or what type of data can be stored in particular column or with particular field. So that is the responsibility of database designer. He will take care of the different types of data to be stored in particular record or particular field. Database designers. See, next let us move on to next slide, and here we are going to discuss about this file organization. First of all, we know the definition of a file. What is a file? File is the basic unit of computer memory, and it is a place where different types of information are stored in computer. So next one concept is file organization. How we are going to organize the file, how we are going to access the file in with respect to computers, in respect to database, or we are going to discuss here the different methods of file organization. So generally we can say that very good example is normally we use computers. In computers we have so many drives, maybe C drive, D drive, E drive and so on, or you can have only one C drive. In particular computer and particular drive, how we are going to store the information. Suppose if there are different types of files, we are going to, it is a general practice, normally we do or create number of folders, and we are going to store the data pertaining in the respective folders. That is nothing but how we organize the files in computer memory. Similarly, with respect to databases concerned, we are going to how the data stored in database can be accessed. So here, first one is serial file organization. Here, first of all, if I say the file, the meaning is it is the place where we can store different types of data. And here, with respect to database, here within a file, all data are stored in the form of records in a table. So with respect to that context, serial file organization. Now, what is the definition of this? Here, the records are arranged one after another in no particular order other than chronological order, which records are added to the file. See, this is one way of file organization, or how one way of storing data, that is serial file organization. Here, the records are stored or arranged one after another, and there is no definite order here, and there is no definite order like ascending or descending order, or there is no question of sorting. Just we are storing the data, and with respect to chronological order, or with respect to the day-to-day activities. And here, very good example for this is the transaction in a bank. In the bank transaction, if you look at the bank transaction here, in a bank, any customer and all his operations, all his transaction are stored date-wise with respect to particular customer. It is a very good example for serial file organization. So here, in general, it is a method where the data or records are stored in chronological order. And another example I can give you is in our computer. As and when you save any file in computer, and if you go to any particular folder, it shows your file in particular order or the latest one. So that is the example for serial file organization, where records are stored in chronological order. Next one is, it is found in common transaction, especially very good example is a bank transaction. And the fast access to next record in sequence stored in is economical storage media and easy to do the backup facility. Updating is slowly in this file organization. The fast access to next record is in sequence. So here, the next record can be accessed very fast. That is one of the feature of serial file organization. And apart from that, updating as well as in this file updating is very slow. These are all the features of serial file organization. Next, we move on to next slide. Here, next one is sequential file organization. Here, the records are stored one after another in an ascending or descending order determined by the key field of the records. So here, This is the records are stored in a definite order, in the sense either ascending order or descending order with a particular key, that is the key field, or with particular column. Very good example is for this, if we talk about student database, here all the records or student records are stored by their register number or by their identification number. So that is very good example for this. So here, thus with respect to a particular key, the data are stored, records are stored one after another. And example for this, payroll file in employee file. So if I talk about any employee of any company and his payroll, I mean his salaries are stored, details are stored in a database with respect to their employee ID. This is a very good example for this. And normally stored on storage media such as magnetic tape and punched card, magnetic disk, etc. The storage medium for normally we use this is magnetic tape. Magnetic tape, I can give an example like it is just like a audio cassette type. Normally what we are using a few years back, the audio cassette. You know how the audio cassette will be. In the audio cassette, suppose if there are 100 records or recorded stored in one particular audio cassette. So if there are 100 records, suppose if you want to play 50th record in audio cassette, normally what we do is we have to fast forward first 49 songs, then we are going to play 50th song. See, that is how we access the data. Means if you want to access the 50th record, we have to go through all the 49 records, then we can access the 50th song or 50th record. That is the meaning of sequential file organization. And here the records are stored one after another. And very good example is this: magnetic tape, punched card, and magnetic disk. Even for the magnetic disk is nothing but your hard disk and other secondary memory storage devices. Next one is, to access these records, computer must read the file in sequence from the beginning. Just what I have told you just now with respect to magnetic tape. Here, if you want to read the, for example, 90th record, so we have to forward, or we have to read, or we have to cross first to 98 record, then we can read, or we can go through 99th record. That is how this sequential file organization works, or that is how to access the record in this file system. And the first record is read and processed first, then second record, and so on. So this is how it works. So this is sequential file organization. Now let us move on to next slide. Random or direct access file organization. So direct access file organization allow the immediate direct access to individual records on the file. So this is, if you look at the previous one, there we have to access the records one after another, means you have to process the first record, then we have to access the second record. But in this one, directly the user can directly access the records directly. Now the records are stored and retrieved using a relative record number, which gives the position of record in the file. So inside the storage devices, so it's going to store the records with the record number, with the position of the record in the file. And several types of storage devices, including disk and other mass storage devices. So we're using this random access. If I say disk, we can talk about optical disk, for example, CD or DVD. If at all, if there are many files in CD or DVD, so we can access any of the particular file in a random or randomly, or directly you can access any file in CD or DVD. So that is an example for random or direct access file organization. Now let us move on to next slide. This is self or direct addressing. Under self-direct addressing, a record key is used as it is relative address. Here by using a record key, we can access one of the record. It will be stored. It can be compute the record's address from the record key, and physical address of the first record is in the file. So it is what is the meaning of self-addressing? And here we are using the concept of addressing. So each record, with the help of a key, it is possible to calculate the physical address of the record and can be accessed. That is self-addressing or direct addressing method. Now let us move on to next slide. Here, random access method, as we have discussed in the previous slide. So it is similar to that. Here, the desired record can be directly accessed using randomizing procedure or hashing without accessing the records in a file. For example, there are number of tools are available. Out of the one of them is either hashing or randomizing. With the help of these two tools, it is possible to access the data or access the records in a file directly or randomly. That is random access method. So here, randomizing procedure is characterized by the fact that records are stored in such a way that there is no relationship between the key of the adjacent record. So this is what we have seen here. Here the records are stored in a file in such a way that there is no connectivity or there is no link between the previous record and the next record, so that is easily we can access the records randomly in this file organization. So this is random access method. Now let us move on to next slide. Here, next one is indexed sequential access method. It is ISAM. Full form is indexed sequential access method. It is a hybrid between sequential and direct access file organization. And here, the records within the file are stored sequentially, but direct access to individual record is possible through index. So what we have seen in our previous file organization method, in sequential file organization, here the records are stored one after another. So if you want to access the next record, the previous record has to be processed. That is in sequential. As it is a hybrid between the direct, in direct access or in direct access method, here the user can access any records randomly. So, but as it is a hybrid, means it's a combination of sequential as well as a direct access method, so the records are possible through an index. But here we are accessing the record through an index key or a key, that is indexed sequential access method. Very good example for this. If you look at your index of your textbook, here in the textbook it says chapter number, serial number, or maybe chapter number, name of the chapter plus page number. So now by looking at the page number, we can select or we can go to or we can open any of the page or any of the chapter. That is an index here. So that is one of the example for this method of file organization. So this is ISAM, indexed sequential access method. Students, in this session we have discussed about different types of file organization. How do we access different files or the records stored in a file, and different methods of file organization. We will continue our discussion in my next class. Thank you very much.